Welcome boys and girls, Christine here with a discussion about a true endgame in Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires. Something that is much better, much more interesting than the endgame crises we have to deal with at the moment, with perhaps the notable exception of the Chaos Dwarf endgame crisis. And this mod only affects one faction, but it does so in a very major way. It affects the war host of the Apocalypse under Archaon the Ever-Chosen, and it makes them ridiculous. So here are a couple of things that this mod does. First off, it introduces for the AI the ability to upgrade Warriors of Chaos units. So generally speaking, if you're looking at the campaign AI for the Warriors of Chaos, they might recruit some higher quality units, but only if they spawn in their locations. Usually, they won't get higher tier units because they're not using the warband upgrade system that they do have access to, and which is one of the unique aspects of the race. So, Warriors of Chaos can be dangerous early on in a campaign. Regiments renowned those kind of things, but later on, they're just a speed bump. This mod makes them far more dangerous. So over here in this campaign, while Archaon does have some lower tier units, that's just because he hasn't gotten enough experience to really make them work. But he has Chosen, he has Chaos Warriors with Halberds, he has Chaos Warriors, he has Aspiring Champions, Chaos Knights with Lances, Chaos Knights with Lances of Slaanesh. This is a very dangerous army to be dealing with. Still a speed bump for a really powerful player with someone like Malachi, but far more dangerous than the default experience. So that's the first change this mod introduces. The second change, and more consequential in a lot of ways, is that Archaon's AI will now automatically declare war on any Order-Tide faction he encounters. Though Order-Tide could be broadened a bit over here because it includes the Dark Elves. So a bit questionable there. Makes some sense, doesn't make full sense, but regardless, a lot of the factions that fought against him, a lot of the races that fought against him, which was practically everyone, in the end times, he declares war on them automatically. So in this case, in this campaign, he has wiped out Malachi. I've just been messing around with the Changeling, not really doing anything, not playing this campaign properly. I just kept my economy going, recruited an army, and then just shouted Archaon. I did not really destroy Malachi over here. That was all on Archaon. And in all the hours I've played the Immortal Empires, I've never really seen Archaon do so. He might conquer the north in a regular campaign, but him going after Kislev, him going after Malachi can happen, but not like this. So that's a second change. Third change is that he has a significant amount of faction potential behind him. Now, faction potential is a way that CA makes certain factions better than others. It gives certain factions a far better outcome in auto-resolve compared to others. So, Archaon, who's already scary enough with a lot of Warriors of Chaos behind them, Chaos Knights, will effectively win every single engagement with his main armies, at the very least, against AI. That means he will spiral out of control. So that's the third thing to talk about there. And then the fourth thing is that if he has a vassal, Norscan vassal, can be the major factions, can be the minor ones, he will gain control of their dark fortresses. Basically, if a vassal claims a dark fortress, he will be given control of that. That means he has more territory, he's harder to defeat, more difficult to defeat. Now, the mod creator is still working on certain things, planning to add more things, make him even more aggressive, push him on the warpath conquest even further, because this is turn 36 that things have really gone completely out of control. Well, really, turn 34. Because the fifth thing, and the biggest of all of the changes implemented with this mod, is what happens when Archaon gets to level 30. And for that, all I need to do is toggle Fog of War and look at the Diplomacy tab. He is at war with everyone. What's happened is a combination of everything I've been discussing up until this point, combined with something that happens once he reaches level 30. He will confederate all the other Warriors of Chaos factions. So Kolek, Sigvald, Valkia, Festus, Village. He will confederate every single one of them. Now, if it sounds crazy enough having an AI faction with a significant auto-resolve benefit confederating all other Warriors of Chaos, yes, that is pretty damn scary. Weirdly enough, he actually got some territory over here in the Citadel of Vlad. Not quite sure how to explain that, but regardless, he will gain all those legendary lords, he will use all those legendary lords, and he will have much better armies. And, because as I stated, he will gain control of dark fortresses or territory from vassals, he will have virtually every single dark fortress in the game, at least the ones in the north. That makes him a gigantic threat, because he's going to be at war with everyone. He's very strong against every AI faction. He's strong against you. You will have to fight him manually, at least. And then he also declares war on every Order-type faction that he encounters, including, again, like Dark Elves get counted at that, so he's declared war on Archaon, for instance, in this campaign. Though, I guess he hasn't declared war on Malekith, so it might just be an aspect of Hargonef in this situation, not quite sure, partly because he took that provincial capital from Valkia when he confederated her. So it might just be a question of regular plain old diplomacy there. This means that Archaon is a genuine endgame threat. And unlike the endgame crises, this is a real one. Because you defeat him, he will come back with a really powerful army as well. And even on turn you defeat him, next turn you're going to be dealing with Kolek. After that, Valkia. After that, Sigvald. All of them or multiple of these legendary lords at once. And they're all going to be higher levels. And they're all very dangerous. Inherently speaking, they're all very dangerous. Put all of these together under the control of a single faction, that becomes a gigantic threat. And again, the mod creator is still working on improving things, making them more aggressive. What do I think could be improved on this? Well, I think this is a great mod to really make for a really fun, challenging, and interesting endgame. It depends on, of course, the distance you're dealing with Archaon, but say you're playing a Boris versus campaign, you're up against the wall from the very beginning. You better pray you wipe him out quickly, because otherwise he's just going to confederate everyone, and then you'll be fighting chaos forever as Boris versus. Certainly as Katrin, or Castaltin, or even Estanke, it's going to be a problem. And mind you, Arbol is already a big problem in those campaigns. Obviously, if you're playing something like the Tomb Kings or, you know, a Lustrian campaign, that's nowhere near the same problem. Mind you, there are things happening in Lustria because it's, of course, it's Lustria. What do you expect? Sanity? That's not the thing in Lustria. It's a hellhole already. No need to add chaos in that mix. But I think some more gradual benefits would be in order, because you have to wait until he gets to level 30 for him to become this biblical threat. I think also some level of randomization of which faction would get some benefits. Like, I would really like an option for Be'lakor to do this, for instance, because Be'lakor can be really scary. Right now, he's just, you know, a speed bump, really, in a campaign. And also, Be'lakor is also vying for control of, you know, chaos demonic factions. But that's just a perspective. Maybe some gradual benefits in terms of, like, you know, things like experience, growth, etc. But there are other mods that do that. But yeah, maybe some gradual benefits, like let's say he gets to level 10. He gets Kolek, and he gets... he could get Kolek in that sense, 15. He gets Sigvald, Azazel, and then 30, he gets everyone. That's just the perspective. Again, I think the mod is really good. I think the mod creator is on the right track. But I'm a bigger fan of, like, instead of instant insanity, which then spirals completely out of control, and you'll be fighting the rest of the campaign against endgame chaos armies, which maybe we should have from the very beginning of Immortal Empires. You do maybe instead of just doing that, you know, a gradual pressure build up so that it could work better for campaigns like Malachi and Boris and all that. But you know, that's a relatively minor quibble. This is amazing. Like, I played with this mod as is. And again, more changes are going to happen. I played with this in the Old World mod, also made by the same guy, which just recreates Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 3 in the sense of factions. And I ended up fighting a freeway war against Grimgor, Sylvania, and freaking Chaos. It dragged on for quite a long time. So if you really want to make a longer campaign better in Warhammer 3, this could be a mod. Even for the Changeling campaign, I would say this improves things, because you're not going to fight him, but he's going to fight Cathay, and other factions. So one of the problems with the Changeling, a lot of the stuff you do ends up being inconsequential, right? Because it's just events, and AI factions are capable of doing it. But imagine if I break down the Wall of Cathay, teleport Norska, teleport the Black Pyramid of Nagash in Cathay. Suddenly, Xiao Ming and Miao Ying are in a whole lot of trouble right here, even though they've practically taken control of all of Cathay at this stage. So that could make even the Changeling more interesting. And if you know anything about me, you know my perspective about the Changeling. Actually, the perspective that the vast majority of the player base has on the Changeling. So if you're gonna make the Changeling campaign worth a shit, that's a win in my book. That's all I had to say. Cosine signing out. Stay tuned for more. And yeah, check out the mod. Really worth it from my point of view. For certain races more so than others, though if you're playing a very long campaign or world domination, this will certainly spice things up as any race. Imagine playing Axial against this. Well, that's gonna make things interesting. Unless you rush him, of course. But that's kind of the point, dude. Don't rush him. He spirals out of control. You're screwed. Stay tuned for more.